The year is 1962. Picture the scene. The Stockholm concert hall, draped in velvet and shimmering with the light of 1,000 crystals. The air is electric, thick with anticipation, and the scent of quiet money. On stage, under the full, unforgiving glare of the world's attention, 3 men stand to accept the Nobel Prize in medicine. They are being honored for unraveling the single greatest secret of human existence, the elegant, spiraling staircase of life itself, the double helix structure of DNA. The applause that erupts is not just noise. It's a historic roar. It's the sound of humanity celebrating its own genius. A turning point for science, for medicine, for everything. But the most important person wasn't there. She wasn't in the audience, craning her neck for a better view. She wasn't watching on a grainy television set at home, a glass of champagne in hand. She had died 4 years earlier, at the tragically young age of 37, from ovarian cancer. Her name was a mere footnote in their papers. Her critical contribution, a ghost. A secret that had been stolen in a single, casual, devastating glance. Her name was Dr. Rosalind Franklin, and her story, the one we're telling today, isn't really about the injustice of a stolen Nobel Prize. That's the surface layer. We're here to go deeper. Her story is about the architecture of true, unshakable success. It forces us to confront a question that should haunt every ambitious person, every creator, every entrepreneur listening to my voice right now. What if the ultimate victory, the one that truly sets you free, has absolutely nothing to do with the world ever knowing your name? For those of you hearing her name for the first time, allow me to paint a clearer picture. Dr. Rosalind Franklin was a brilliant, fiercely intelligent British chemist, and a master of a dark art known as X-ray crystallography. Today, the scientific community universally acknowledges that her work was the pivotal, non-negotiable piece of evidence that unlocked the structure of DNA. Her masterpiece, an image known simply as Photo 51, has been called one of the most important photographs in the history of science. It was the Rosetta Stone for the language of life. It was the definitive clue that allowed James Watson and Francis Crick to build their Nobel-winning model. Without Photo 51, they were lost in the dark. So, her success is now cemented in history. But it is a success written in corrective ink, a posthumous apology scrawled in the margins of a story that was already published without her as a protagonist. This is where most stories would end. A tragic tale of a forgotten hero who eventually got her due. But that's a story for a different podcast. We are the 500 Millionaire Blueprint. We dissect the machinery of success, especially when it looks like failure. The conventional narrative of our time is about personal branding, about shouting your wins, about making sure you get the credit. It's about hustle culture and public validation. Rosalind's life is a rebellion against that entire philosophy. It poses a much bigger, more uncomfortable question for all of us on our own path to self-development. How do you build a legacy of immense, world-changing value when the very system you operate in is engineered to ignore you? And how do you find the internal fortitude, the raw discipline, to continue creating your best work when you know the finish line you rightfully deserve might be crossed by someone else? The answer isn't found in bitterness, legal battles, or a campaign for revenge. The answer is far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. It's hidden in the quiet shadows of her laboratory, in the rhythmic, hypnotic hum of her X-ray machine, and in a radical form of inner strength that our modern world, obsessed with external rewards, has almost completely forgotten. To understand the source of that strength, we can't start at the beginning. That would be a disservice to the gravity of her journey. We have to go straight to the heart of the wound, to the moment of absolute breaking. Let's transport ourselves to King's College London, 1952. The air in the basement lab is cool and damp, carrying the metallic scent of ozone from the equipment. For months, Rosalind Franklin has been living a life of monastic devotion. Her world has shrunk to this single room, this single, all-consuming problem. She has spent over 100 hours of painstaking X-ray exposure, meticulously calibrating her machine, refining a technique for capturing high-resolution images of DNA fibers that no one else in the world had managed to perfect. This isn't just a job. This is a sacred obsession, a testament to her ferocious commitment. This is what a purpose-driven life looks like up close. It's not glamorous. It's grueling. It's the embodiment of the command to stay hard when everything is difficult. And then, one evening, it happens. She develops the film, and floating in the developer fluid, a ghostly image slowly resolves into focus. It's photo 51. To an untrained eye, it's just a blurry, mysterious X, formed by a diamond of dark smudges. It looks like a child's drawing of a star. But to Rosalind, it is the universe whispering its most intimate secret. She doesn't need a computer model or a co-author to interpret it. In that ghostly X is the unmistakable, irrefutable signature of a helix. In the spacing of the smudges, she can calculate the dimensions of the molecule. It's all there. It is a moment of pure, unadulterated, soul-shaking clarity. The kind of moment scientists live their entire lives for. Now, hold that feeling of private, perfect triumph. And picture this, unbeknownst to you, a colleague, Maurice Wilkins, a man with whom you have a strained and difficult professional relationship, takes this photograph from your drawer. Your photograph. The physical culmination of your intellect, your patience, your very being. He walks down the hall. He shows it to a young, ambitious, and slightly arrogant American rival named James Watson, who has been struggling and failing to solve the same puzzle. Watson would later write that his jaw fell open and pulse began to race the moment he saw it. The game was over. The race was won. In that single, unauthorized glance, the key to the kingdom had been passed from its rightful owner to a competitor. And Rosalind didn't even know it had happened. Let's analyze the anatomy of this pain. It's not just about stolen data. That's too clinical. It's a profound, soul-level betrayal. It's the agony of being rendered invisible in your own story. It's the crushing loneliness of being the only woman in a room of men who saw you not as a brilliant peer, but as an obstacle, a difficult housewife, or at best, a glorified technician who produced nice pictures. Her specific mistake, if you can call it that, was a kind of intellectual nobility. She believed with every fiber of her being that the data should speak for itself. That truth was sovereign. She thought politics, networking, and charismatic showmanship were vulgar distractions from the pure pursuit of science. She refused to play the game. But her real enemy wasn't Watson, or Crick, or Wilkins. They were merely agents of a much larger, more insidious force. Her true, unexpected enemy was a foe that lives inside all of us. I call it the echo of applause. The echo of applause is that invisible, insatiable hunger for external validation. It's the desperate need to see your genius reflected back at you in the admiring eyes of others. It's the enemy that whispers in your ear at 3 a.m. What's the point of all this sacrifice if no one is going to clap at the end? What's the point of this personal development if you don't get the promotion, the title, the award? It's the ghost that haunts every artist, every founder, every person pouring their soul into something. We all crave the echo. We check our phones for likes, we refresh our emails for praise, we yearn for the standing ovation. Rosalind was surrounded by men who were utterly consumed by their desire for it. But her journey, defined by this ultimate act of erasure, forced her to confront this enemy head-on. And, in the end, to achieve the ultimate victory, to starve it into silence. So, what is the immediate, gut reaction lesson here? The standard motivational playbook in 2025 screams a very clear message. Fight for your credit. Lawyer up. Patent everything. Build a personal brand so strong that no one can ignore you. Never, ever let anyone steal your thunder. But that is a lesson born of fear. It's a reactive, defensive posture. Rosalind's story, if you look closer, offers a proactive, more profound, and far more radical lesson. A lesson for those who need to build something that lasts, not just something that's loud. The counterintuitive lesson is this. The moment of discovery is the prize. The applause, the awards, the recognition, that is all just noise. Think about it. Her true, undeniable victory wasn't the Nobel Prize she was denied. Her victory was that quiet, solitary moment in a damp basement lab. It was the instant she looked at photo 51, and she knew. It was the feeling of cosmic truth resonating in her bones before anyone else on the planet even knew what question to ask. She possessed the clarity. She held the answer. Everything that came after the prize, the fame, the arguments, the history books, was just an echo of a sound she had already heard. By detaching her sense of self-worth from that echo, she achieved a kind of intellectual and spiritual freedom that her rivals, forever obsessed with who got the credit, could never truly comprehend. This is the philosophy that separates the successful from the fulfilled. Now, let's rewind. Where does such a formidable, almost stoic mindset come from? A mindset like that isn't born in a single moment of betrayal. It is forged over years, in the fires of deliberate practice and intellectual honesty. Let's go back to the years immediately following World War II. Rosalind Franklin moved to Paris to work at a state chemical laboratory. This was, by all accounts, the happiest and most professionally fulfilling time of her life. In Paris, she was judged on the quality of her work, not her gender. She was respected. She was part of a vibrant, collaborative community. And it was there that she became a world-renowned expert in X-ray crystallography. Now, X-ray crystallography is a brutally difficult, tedious, and unforgiving technique. Most scientists of her era avoided it. It was slow, the mathematics were complex. The physical process was frustrating. It demanded a level of patience and precision that bordered on the monastic. So why was she drawn to it? Why choose the hardest path? Because it offered one thing that nothing else could: irrefutable truth. The patterns on the film were a direct conversation with the physical world, unmediated by ego or opinion. Her core philosophy wasn't about being the smartest person in the room. It was about being the most honest observer. Her unique mindset was a radical obsession with empirical, verifiable evidence in a world that was, and still is, drowning in narratives and spin. Her daily discipline wasn't just about the hours she put in at the lab. It was a daily ritual of stripping away her own biases, her own hopes, her own ambitions, to simply see what was really there. This is the essence of study motivation at its highest level. She was building not just a career in science, but a profound capacity for self-development through extreme intellectual rigor. She sought truth, not glory. She sought deep understanding, not fleeting fame. This unwavering focus on yourself and your process is the ultimate source of creative and intellectual power. Now, let's apply our flaw spotlight technique, because it's crucial to understand that she was not a plaster saint. Rosalind Franklin was famously, and by her own admission, impatient. She was fiercely argumentative, and had a very low tolerance for intellectual sloppiness. Her exacting standards, the very engine of her brilliance, made her incredibly difficult to work with. She didn't suffer fools gladly, and in the competitive, ego-driven environment of King's College, she saw fools everywhere. This very flaw, her sharp edges and her refusal to engage in polite small talk when there was work to be done, isolated her. It made her an easy target for caricature by her male colleagues, who painted her as shrewish and uncooperative. But we must understand that this flaw was the flip side of her genius. Her impatience with mediocrity was what drove her to achieve a level of excellence no one else could match. It shows us that our greatest strengths and our most challenging flaws are often two sides of the same coin. She was brilliant, not perfect, and that is what makes her story so real and so powerful. How do we make this history useful? How do we take this incredible story of stoic motivation and turn it into a tool we can use today, whether we're building a business, pursuing a degree, or creating art? Let's codify her mindset into a practical, actionable formula. We'll call it the Photo 51 Principle. It's a 3-step guide to building a legacy immune to the noise of the world. Step 1. Isolate your X. In a world overflowing with vanity metrics and distractions, you must identify your photo 51. What is the one core metric of truth? The key indicator of real progress that is entirely within your control and undeniably real. For her, it was a clear X-ray image. For a writer, it's not social media followers, it's the word count at the end of the day. For a software developer, it's not buzz on TechCrunch, it's a clean, functional line of code. For a teacher, it's not a performance review, it's the moment a student's eyes light up with understanding. Define the real work and ignore the seductive illusions of progress. Step 2. Fall in love with the machine's hum. Franklin found deep satisfaction in the process itself. The 100 hours of exposure wasn't a chore to be endured, it was a conversation with reality. You must learn to find the intrinsic reward in your daily discipline. The goal isn't just the destination. The goal is to fall in love with the act of walking the path. This shift is the absolute key to cultivating an abundance mindset, where you find wealth and satisfaction in the work itself, not in what the work gets you. This is the secret to sustainable motivation. Step 3. Practice recognition fasting. This is a practical exercise. Intentionally starve the echo of applause. For 1 week, do your most important work and tell no one. Don't post about it. Don't fish for compliments. If you write a chapter, close the document without showing a soul. If you solve a complex problem, savor the solution in silence. This builds the crucial muscle of internal validation. It's a psychological detox from the dopamine addiction of external praise, making you resilient and centered. It teaches you to stay hard and self-reliant. And so, we return to where we began. That glittering, opulent stage in Stockholm, 1962, a victory celebration haunted by a ghost. For years, I viewed that image as the ultimate tragedy. The story of a brilliant woman robbed blind by the establishment. But now, looking at it through the lens of her own powerful philosophy, I see something entirely different. The men on that stage, Watson and Crick and Wilkins, they won the prize. But in a way, they were imprisoned by it. They were forever shackled to the echo, spending decades of their lives defending their legacy, minimizing her role, endlessly relitigating the past. Their victory was conditional, and it came with a lifetime of footnotes and asterisks. Rosalind Franklin, however, achieved something far greater, something pure. She experienced the only form of victory that truly matters, the private, earth-shattering, soul-expanding moment of knowing. She solved the puzzle. She saw the face of God in a blurry photograph. She didn't need a gold medal from a king to validate a truth she had already held in her own hands. Her true legacy isn't the Nobel she was denied. Her legacy is written in the very code of life that connects every single one of us. It is silent. It is omnipresent. And it is eternal. She didn't need her name in the lights because she was busy building the light itself. The ultimate motivational message of her incredible life is this: true success, the kind that nourishes your soul and withstands the test of time, is not about the awards you collect on your shelf. It is about the integrity you maintain in your heart. It's not about how many people applaud you. It's about building an inner world so strong, a purpose so clear, and a character so resilient that the noise of the outer world, its praise and its insults, its victories and its slights fades to an irrelevant whisper. It's about being truly grateful for the privilege of doing the work, not for the promise of the reward. That is true power. That is a real abundance mindset. That is not just a path to wealth creation, but to a wealthy soul. That is the blueprint. What is the photo 51 in your life? What is the essential work you are doing for the love of the process, for the pursuit of truth, separate from any echo of applause? Take a moment to think about that today. Share your story in the comments below. Your journey, your struggles, and your private victories matter. And if this story resonated with the builder in you, subscribe to the 500 Millionaire Blueprint. We don't just chase success, we redefine it. Thank you for listening.